IPMNation.com.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Welcome and thank you for stopping by the number one rated show here on IPMNation.com, episode 280 of the Gong Heard Round the World. You're in to All Natural Being, broadcast as it happens here on IPMNation.com and Facebook for Fly on the Wall video. Always live from the Outpost Studios here in Columbus, Ohio, with rebroadcasts on iTunes and iHeartRadio. Greetings wherever you are, here in the Garden of the Mortals, the very labyrinth of life itself. Top of the day to you from the truest parts of your mind. This is your shot at running the table. That's why we're always putting your heart's highest priority, top of the list, placing your primal scream, regardless of what everyone says, placing your primal scream front and center in your life, reinstalling and reinstating the true wisdom of your inner whisper. Because we believe it's time to reboot your robust. It's time to find your ferocious, to out-brutal the brutal that is the cut and shuffle that fate deals you on a daily basis, and to bring your own bold. Once and for all. No excuses. But before we hit it this evening, hello to my friends here in the United States and Canada, Mexico, the UK, my good friends in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Puerto Rico, Peru, Kenya, the Netherlands, to those joining us from all over the globe. It really is great to have you with us. I truly am fired up to be driving your bandwagon, to be your biggest fan, to be avidly you. But let me ask you, are you tired? Are you just fed up with being institutionalized by the intentions of another, convicted by the constructs of another, remanded to a prison of rhetoric? Me too. And that's why I believe it's time for both of us to mortal up. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And I have to tell you, it was a pleasure for the end of last week, the beginning of this week, to be able to hang out here in the All Natural Being Studios with Mr. Henry Noel. He was with us here, and he's traveling this evening. And I have to tell you, I came down here, I was like, oh, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do this? Are we gonna do that? And it's like, wow, okay, so not this weekend or not this show is he going to be with us. But, I'm over here in the thread already. Good evening, Henry. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging with us. And most certainly, thank you for spending the week here and giving us a little something to do and just a little something to focus on here in the studio. As you know, we're getting ready to ramp it up. And this evening, I also want to talk about Transitions Radio. We mentioned it quickly the other evening with Matt when he was talking about what was going on over at IPMNation.com. But Henry just now today started his Facebook page, which is going to be Transitions Radio Henry G. Noel. If you get a chance to check it out, I posted something over on my personal page, my personal Facebook page. If you get ahead to go ahead and check that out, where he's going to put a lot of his audio, a lot of his writings. Pretty soon, he's working up to the video, so he'll have a full-on production house here in no time. So if you get a chance to go ahead and check it out, please do so. And then, Henry, if you're watching this evening, could you throw the links in the thread as well? Let us know exactly what it is or where it is that we can go to find your content. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting the website right and everything else. All right. Also, don't forget, we're taking your calls, 833-462-3968, 833-GO-BE-U. It's toll free, and you are most certainly welcome to give us a call and let us know. This evening we're talking about, I put a little something over, speaking of Facebook, I put a little something over on Facebook, a little bit of a tweak. Cometh the hour, cometh the plan. Right? Because I have a lot of people say to me, oh, well, what do you know? What can you do? How will you know when the time is right? And one of the things that I've begun to realize is that cometh the hour, cometh the plan. That it just seems that when you follow your all-natural being, when you're channeling your wild at the core, when you're not listening to the mashugana of the marketplace, what happens is that you are exactly in the right position in order to be able to take your next steps. Janelle, good evening. Oh, here's Henry. You can go to henryGnoel.com, and that'll give you some of that. And also his new Facebook page, Transitions Radio. Henry, thank you very much. Transitions Radio, if you get a chance to check that out also here on Facebook. Good evening, Janelle. Good evening to you as well. I was just getting ready to say hello. Thank you very much. And also to John. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. We're talking about cometh the hour, cometh the plan. How do you know specifically that in that particular moment in all of time, you're in the perfect position to be you, to bring your all-natural being? And as I say here in the show, as you know, to bring your own bold. Because I've started to think a lot about it. And Henry says, Transitional Radio, Henry G. Noel, and that's here on Facebook. So if you have an opportunity to stop on over to that site, I'd like to get him up over, it's not even 12 hours old yet, and he's already up near to 100 people following, being a fan of his site, following on the site. So if you get a chance to share that around. As I said in the Facebook post announcing his site today, that a solid soul, right, it thrives when you give it a great mind. And that's most certainly what Transitional Radio will do. And I'm very excited for Henry and his vision of what everything's going to be for the future. So go on over and check out Transitional Radio, Henry G. Noel here on Facebook. Also, John, hello to you. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day, as we hope you are too. What we're kicking around is this concept of bringing your own bold. And, a friend of mine posted something today about Demi Lovato? Demi Lovato, I think it is a singer, a performer, this or that. Well, she was taken to the hospital today from a heroin overdose. And obviously we wish her a speedy recovery. We hope she gets on top of it, gets the monkey off her back. But it leaves you to ask this question. If you're truly fired up about who you are at your core, if you're truly channeling your all-natural being, then those outside stimulants, those outside things that some have grown accustomed to, really tend to fall away because there's nothing left for you to ingest. So I wonder about the opioid crisis. I wonder about the drug crisis. I wonder more. You could say the alcohol crisis. You could say a depression crisis. I want to say hello and good evening to Paul. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. But when we're busy ingesting all these things from outside of us, we're really not bringing our own bold. And that in any particular moment in time, if you say, you know what, I've pretty much had it. Cometh the hour, cometh the plan. To be bold enough, to be courageous enough, to be human enough, to be you enough. When we say, go be you. That's what we're talking about. Because when you're busy being you, none of these other things get to seep in. None of these other things get to derail you from achieving your destiny, whatever that is, from experiencing in the moment your destiny, whatever that is, from fulfilling your potential in the moment. And I think one of the pitfalls is that people say all the time, oh, well, I'll have the carrot at the end of the stick is my potential is always something that will be fulfilled, eventually down the road. But what I'm here to say is that potential is fulfilled in this particular moment in all of time. Every time you follow the advice to go be you. 833-462-3968, 833 Go be you. Give us a call. It's toll free. Let us know what you're thinking about. But that's what we're talking about here at All Natural Being, is this sense of bringing your own bold, of remembering just how unique you are, how special you are, how capable you are. Thank you, Paul, very much. I super appreciate it. And it's kind of easy for me, Paul, to be honest with you, because I think given some of the things that I've experienced in my life, I realize how much I really didn't need to be here, right? So that I'm going to spend what time I have left. I say to my closest friends, as Henry will attest, I say to my closest friends, I'm busy heading to the grave. Well, I've just decided to take the long way around. And I guess, in a way, we're all in the same situation. We're all heading to the grave one day, right? We're all taking, I hope, the long way around. But when you bring your own bold, when you put your heart's highest priority top of the list. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, as soon as I say put your heart's highest priority top of the list, you say, well, Bri, I got critics. I got family. I've got people that just, aren't going to dig that of me. They're just not going to support me in that plan. And then I would ask, all right, for all of you that are surrounded by people that are intimidated, that are afraid, that are a little jealous, that think they'll be abandoned if you put your heart's highest priority top of the list, then you got to ask yourself the question, is there really a reason that I have them in my life? And as I enjoyed Henry being here this past week, and we had some really great conversations, it dawned on me that I really am beginning to believe that this whole sense of amnesia that I've talked about before, this philosophical amnesia, where human beings have just forgotten who they are. They need heroin, they need coke, they need cigarettes, they need alcohol, they need all these other things, right? Not in moderation, but they need all these things over the top to fill some void. But what is that void? People say, oh, well, I'm lonely. Get that? Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm in need of opioids. Oh, I'm in need of all these other things. But where sits that void? Where sits that void in you? And if you're busy channeling your inner potential, if you're busy at every turn putting your heart's highest priority top of your list, where sits that void? Where is it? Another thing that Henry and I had a great opportunity to speak about. Oh, I should also mention, if you get a chance, 833-462-3968, toll free, 833-GO-BE-YOU. If you have an opportunity, good evening, David Ray Bowman. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. It's nice to have you here. We were talking about this concept of cometh the hour, cometh the plan. And that when you bring your own bold, the universe goes, wow, David gets it, Paul gets it, Henry gets it, Izierba gets it, John gets it, Janile gets it. They understand what's going on. So when you bring your own bold, and you go, holy cow, do you notice the synchronicity of that? That epiphany just happened? That circumstance? That when you realize that your potential lies just this side of infinity. Hola to you as well. That when your potential lies just this side of infinity, that you literally have the genius to pull off almost anything. When it comes to putting your heart's highest priority top of the list, who gets into that? Who can come between you? Who can box you out from that? When I ask people, okay, well, where is this void? Just that. Where is this void? Show me in you. Where is this void? Same question that I ask, where is it that you're offended? Where is it where you feel maligned? Where is it that you're scared? Where is it specifically in you? Well, it registers in my heart. And I go, no. I don't need an anatomy lesson. I want to know, where specifically in you does it register? Good evening, Candace. I hope all is well. Oh, hi, Candace. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're talking about cometh the hour, cometh the plan. That you, blending this particular moment in all of time, your heart's highest calling, top of the list, with the immediate horizon, that's the right time And that's why I'm so confident. And people say, well, what are you going to do? How is this going to work out? And you kind of go, yeah, you know what? It'll work out as it works out. In this particular moment in all of time, it will be exactly what it needs to be. But it can't be if we're busy with worry, if we're busy with addiction, if we're worried about all these other things. Now, I know that people will say, well, Brian, it doesn't sound like a very caring position to take. For people having addiction, they're having a hard time with it. Well, yeah, I know addiction. Of course they have a hard time with it. That's why it's an addiction. But you rise to the challenge. Will you let fate derail you, or will you square your shoulders? Be your own best friend. Be your own biggest fan. And will you rise to the occasion of the moment? That's the question that needs to be answered. We were out the other day running around and some people at the store. Good evening, Philip. Nice to see you. Thank you for watching us here on All Natural Being. We've gotten into a conversation, and one of the people there at the store said, hey, what is the coolest place you've ever traveled to, right? The coolest place you've ever been. And I happened to mention that I thought the coolest place I'd ever been was at the Best Buy in Columbus, Ohio. And I said, are we in Columbus? Or are we in New Albany? Where are we? And he goes, no, we're in Columbus. And I go, this particular place right now is the coolest place I've ever been, right? In this particular moment, in all of time. And I just got a puzzled look from the people on the other side, the people asking us the question. But unless you believe that this is the coolest moment, this particular moment in all of time, how will you ever know the cool moments when they get here? People say, oh, no, don't worry. I'll know. I'll know. How can you be certain? How can you be sure? But in this particular moment in all of time, where you put your heart and your head, they dovetail. When you place your primal scream front and center in your life, that's genius. And that's the power of exercising your potential. Good evening, Josephine. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. We're talking about cometh the hour, cometh the plan, and the courage that it takes. All right, let's see who we got with us. Let's see, what line are we on? Good evening. Thank you for calling All Natural Being. Who's with us? Hello? Hello. Let me make sure I got everything going just right here. All right, caller, I'm sorry we're going to miss you. All right, we'll try it another way if they get a chance to call back in. 833-462-3968, 833-462-3968. We're talking this evening, cometh the hour, cometh the plan, and what it takes. That when you bring your own bold, there's nothing about the unknown that scares you. There's nothing about this particular moment in all time that doesn't just grab you, that makes your mouth water. Right? That you're alive right now to exercise your potential in any way that you see fit. Why would you let anyone derail you from that? I think, right? If you go, okay, well, I'd like an answer to that question. Why would you let anyone derail you? I think it's amnesia. I still have those bouts from time to time where just for the life of me, hi, Henry, I saw the call. I saw the number come in. All right, brother. Well, we're sorry. We're going to miss you as well. That must have been Henry trying to call in. 833-462-3968, 833-GO-BE-YOU. If you want to give us a holler, what we're kicking around is cometh the hour, cometh the plan, and what it takes, that type of courage. And people go, well, how have you developed that courage? And I'll be honest with you, my sense is it isn't a development of courage. It's a remembering of who you ultimately are. It's a peeling away the amnesia. Because I think when you realize who you ultimately are, you realize the natural resources that you possess, your potential, just this side of infinity. I think that brings its own courage. People say all the time, all right, let's give this another try just to see. Good evening. Welcome to All Natural Being. Who's with us?
This is John.
John, how are you, sir?
Good.
Nice to hear your voice. How's everything going?
Going great.
Great.
Got a little bit of a delay there.
Well, you sound great for whatever that's worth. Just so it may only be a delay between you and I, but I hope for everyone listening, including Lisa, who just joined us. Lisa, thank you. Good evening. So, John, what's going on?
what's not going on?
Good,
World's
good answer.
turning.
The world is turning. And thank you so very much, John. You're always great at reminding me of different things, the different things that you put up or the comments that you make in the feed. I really appreciate the time that you take to kind of catch us up on everything that's going on. And maybe give me a thought of what we're kicking around this evening of cometh the hour, cometh the plan, that when you truly know who you already are, right, there's no need for confrontation. There's no need for these other things. You're able to rise to the occasion, whatever that occasion is, whatever attempt fate makes. You know you're here to outbrutal the brutal. What says John?
It gets easier the more that you are comfortable and, confident in knowing who you are.
Okay.
But you were saying that why would you let somebody derail you from being your highest power,
Sure.
all that, and
Sure.
bringing your own bold. It's more not derailing that. It's more regressing back. So
Okay.
we're actually derailing the pattern or the programming that, kept us from realizing our highest potential. And
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Whenever we, we're wanting to have our power and show how bold we are, but we let that programming just hijack our reality.
So then are you and I on the same page, John, where we agree that they hijack that reality, but that reality is your boldness, is that courageousness, is that ability to stand and face anything, but it gets hijacked. So it's not so much a fear as it is a hijacked courage. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's a manufactured fear, yeah.
Okay.
Something that's been ingrained into us from our early ages,
And John, you should know that Henry says, I totally agree, John. Also say hello quickly to Paul. Thank you for joining us. And Lisa, thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. So John, let me ask you then, what's your sense of how we can start the pendulum swinging back towards us? If it's been hijacked, if it's an accumulation of all these things that we've been taught, what is it that we can do, that you and I can do, that everyone listening can do to go ahead and start righting the ship, to retake control of the cognitive cockpit, if you will?
Well, there's no one cookie cutter answer to that situation. Everybody's different. Everybody learns at their own pace.
Okay.
Some people will want to get some kind of sweetener or some kind of oil or something to take the Band-Aid off so it doesn't hurt as much. Some people want to rip the Band-Aid right off so they don't have to deal with the pain as long.
That's a good point.
So it just depends on the person.
But what's unique to both situations, do you feel? Is there, I know with a little one, as you know, John, having a young child, and they'll go, oh, don't rip the Band-Aid. I got hair there. But then if you go slow, it just seems, like I was thinking the other day when I'm running in the rain, and you're thinking, all right, Brian, well, maybe you ought to come in out of the rain. Oh, point well taken. But I'm running in the rain, and then I'm thinking, if I run in the rain, am I catching more raindrops as they fall? So am I getting more soaked by running in the rain, where if I walk in the rain, I won't run into those raindrops as I get there. So it's a lot like the Band-Aid. If I rip the Band-Aid off, or like just one little hair at a time, I peel it. So what's the answer? How can we do it, John, do you think?
It's not it's just going your own pace and knowing that you're way more powerful and way more creative than you ever thought you were, and then just continue on that journey going that direction. Everything that you fear, if you fear something, if you're worrying about something, have anxiety over something, then it's probably part of that old programming keeping you from reaching your highest potential.
Very good. So some of that old programming is what we think keeps us in check. So would you say, John, it's like a progressive adaptation, just like, because you're a big guy, let's just say if you looked at it and you put it to like a lifting weights kind of thing, would you say, okay, great, what that means is in a progressive adaptation, you work on it a little bit each time, and before you know it, cumulatively, you've built up the ability to peel away some of that programming. You've built up the ability to let your courage front and center. Is that how you'd look at it?
Exactly.
Candace says, John, in here, she says, one of the most horrible things I've heard people say is that children should be seen and not heard. And I think, right, that could be part of the programming that we're talking about. So maybe we grow up and we go, okay, well, maybe we still shouldn't be heard. That's a great point, Candace. And Kelly said when she was in the studio here, John, earlier in this week, it's like using a pacifier. I've said like training wheels or water wings at my age. But she goes, Brad, what if you still ran around with a pacifier? Well, maybe the pacifier, John, some of that programming, as you say, is when Candace says, one of the most horrible things is that when children should be seen and not heard. And I know you're a great dad. How do you kind of bridge that gap in the mind between being, a child and then growing up, that maturity? What would you think?
Well, we think that everybody has a box that they should be fit inside of. Just like children, they're too young. They don't know. We think that they're incapable of things, but until we get past the current paradigm, which it's looking like it's, we're getting away from it, and we start to live our highest power, our highest potential, then we'll be more curious and, I don't know, less willing to fall prey to that old programming.
I love you call it the old programming and to fall prey to it, John. Henry says in the feed, it all depends on the reasons for the fears and how deep the learning is. So I think what you're saying that if you've been subject to this when you were little, I heard someone say to me once, and it's the best bit of advice that have ever been given on how to raise children. And they said to me one time, they said, well, you're not raising children, you're raising adults. Exactly, John. And I stopped and I kind of laughed and, like left over from Back to the Future. Hello, McFly, are you in there? And I go, that's exactly it, right? We're not raising children, we're raising adults. And hopefully, to Henry's point, that it all depends on the reasons for the fear and how deep that learning is. Hopefully, we don't inculcate it in our children to such an early age that they believe it's an uphill battle. They'll never get rid of the baggage. What say you?
Exactly. And the sooner and the more that you actually unlearn,
right?
Stop feeding the fear, the faster you get going in the right or the direction you want to go, rather than what you've been taught is what you want.
And then, before I let you go, John, what do you think? What have you found to be a good way? Both as a dad and as a guy on your own. What's the way when you're at that fork in the road and you go, I can either fall back on my programming or I can try to peel it away at a little bit of time? What's the one thing? Is it a vision? Is it a thought? Is it a feeling? Is it a breathing exercise? What is it that you do in that most crucial of moments where you decide whether your cognition is going to be hijacked or whether you're going to be in control? What's the one thing that you've found that works in those moments?
It's a combination of all that, and just maybe finding something that happened good in your day that you can kind of focus on, or if you come up with like a mantra, a mantra that you could say for meditation, something to bring you back to your center. Just be at peace. Know that the anger that is, got you all wound up is hurting you, not helping you. And
manufactured to boot, right? It's not helping you, and it's also manufactured.
See that.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think it's great. Well, John, as I said before, thank you so much.
Something wonderful is about to happen.
That's always the case.
Hold that thought.
Hold that thought. And then if I could, John, when you talk about a mantra, why couldn't that be your mantra? If we're talking the same thing about cometh the hour, cometh the plan, why couldn't your mantra be something amazing's about to happen?
Exactly.
All right, my friend. Well, as I said earlier, thank you for always leading with the insightful comments and giving me different things to think about and posting up different things here in the thread during the show. And most certainly, thank you for calling in to All Natural Being. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Hey, all thanks to you, Brian. You're great. I'm glad you have the show for us to be here.
John, thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Wonderful.
I really do. Thanks so much, brother. I feel the same. Talk to you soon. All right, let me say hello to Brian Bouchard. Brian Bouchard, thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. Also, Lee Raleigh is here. Lee, thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're talking this evening about cometh the hour, cometh the plan. And what it takes, as John just said, you know what I mean, when we peel away some of that programming, when we get back to our core, where we decide, no, I will throw myself into some of this potential that's just this side of infinity. And he talks about finding a mantra to be able to do it. And if you've listened to the show at all, you know my mantra is that in the evenings, and it's become so ingrained in me now that to be honest with you, I don't even think I think about it at times. Or I'll hop in bed, and the first thing I find myself is saying, thank you. Thank you. Gratitude, not necessarily with a target, but just this overwhelming sense of thankfulness for the way the day unfolded. And it may not always be smooth. It may not always go the way we want. As Henry reminded me this morning, he goes, just keep. Jennifer, thank you so very much. I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much. As Henry said this morning, just keep breathing, right? And you think for yourself, oh, that's a great meditation technique, Henry. That's pretty good. Just keep breathing. But then you realize, what if all these meditation experts go, oh, well, it's all about the breath, which I believe, right? I start my day and end my day with the same type of breathing drills. But what if we one day find out, when they say, oh, it's all about the breathing. What if the breathing is just your body's reminder that you're still alive? Maybe that's what John's getting at. Maybe that's what Henry's getting at. And Candace and Jennifer, if we continue to breathe, our body goes, I'm still vertical. Haven't taken the ultimate dirt nap yet. Maybe breathing like you mean it. Right? We talk all the time about thinking like you mean it, but breathing like you mean it. When you're breathing in, you're filling your lungs. You're taking your lungs for a walk, if not a run. Maybe we'll find out one day that that's what exercise was all about. That it just caused you to take deep breaths. Henry says it's also about living. Breathing is the reminder. I absolutely agree, sir. I want to thank John again for calling in and for all the comments, as I've said all along. Thank you so very much, John. But what if that's it? What if that when you bring your own bowl, even your lungs get into it? And it's a subconscious reminder that you're still here to breathe, that you still have the ability to tap that potential just this side of infinity, that you still have the capability of putting your heart's highest priority top of your list. And maybe that's it. Yeah, you get some oxygen. Yeah, you get some of this and that, right? But did you ever wonder, maybe? Is that why our body is so tied to breathing? It's that sense in the moment. It's a mantra without words, right? It's a mantra in the moment that goes, I'm still alive, and I'm going to put my lungs through the paces. 1-833-462-3968. Call us toll free, 833-462-GO-BE-YOU. If you get a brand new car, if you get a brand new bicycle for Christmas, just imagine something you've always wanted, and you got it for your birthday, or you decided to treat yourself, or whatever it is, right? A brand new golf club, brand new fishing pole. Would you leave it in the garage? Or would you take it out and use it? Well, maybe the breathing technique that everyone's, oh, you got to do yoga. Nah, it's too tough on the back, too tough on my knees. Now, if you do yoga, God love you. Just for me, my yoga is the breathing. But what if we find out that really that's what it's all about? It's about the deep breathing. It's about using your lungs like your favorite fishing rod. Would you get your favorite fishing rod and just go to the water's edge and just stand there? Look around? Fishing rod in your hand? No bait on the lure? Whatever it is you're going to use. What if breathing? What if using your lungs? What if in that moment, cometh the hour, cometh the plan, that whole sense of worry, that whole sense of fight or flight? What if it's think about that for a moment. What if it's about using your breath? And in that particular moment, it goes, yeah, needle nits, you're still alive. Lee says, I tend to look at breathing as a constant give and take between the inner and the outer. Absolutely agree, sir. Between you and your surroundings for as long as you're alive in a human form. I think that's absolutely true, Lee. I mean, because we know now from quantum physics, it's all about our environment, that only in our minds, only in the most, in the most pedestrian sense, am I here and you're there, right? We know it's an exchange of atoms. We know an exchange of all these other things. So I think Lee's absolutely right. John says, thoughts lead to beliefs. Beliefs lead to behavior. What are your thoughts creating? Absolutely true, John. What are your thoughts creating? Brian Bouchard says, you breathe longer, deeper with confidence. Confidence comes from experience. Experience is surviving your plan and taking deviation and making them work to your advantage. And I hope it's okay if I share the story about Brian, because he's probably going to be like, wait a minute, I hate fishing. All right, David. Thank you. Oh, okay, David, you're a big baseball fan. So here's the thing. You get tickets to your favorite baseball game, and then I go and you sit in the van in the parking lot. You don't get to go in. How would that be? I'll tell you a quick story about Brian Bouchard. He is one of those unique individuals. If you know anything about martial arts, he's one of these unique individuals where you just can't knock him down. And believe me, Brian and I have had our years of coming right to a brawl. We met coming to a brawl where we squared off, and it was going to be Brian and I. But he's one of these guys that his feet, his legs just seem to be rooted into the ground. And I would love Brian to say, Brian, that would suck. See, David, that's all I'm saying. Right? Suck, no pun intended, right? If you didn't suck in air with your lungs, a little bit of play on words. But you get my point. If I took you to a baseball game and left you in a van, you know what I would do to really torture you? Well, I'd put the soundtrack of one of my shows in your ears. You couldn't even hear the announcer in the parking lot. Yeah, blindfolded, listening to a soundtrack of All Natural Being. But anyway, getting back to Brian, I wonder if Brian would say that it's the breathing that causes him to be rooted. He's been studying the same martial art for 80 years or thereabouts. It's not that old, but he gets it. So I wonder if he would say that breathing allows him to be rooted into the ground, to where I've seen a couple of kids, young, like bodybuilder type guys, go at Brian. They can't move them. It's like running into a parked tree. And I wonder if he would say that the breathing helps with that. And maybe that's the key. And in going back to what Lee said, he says, I tend to look at breathing as a constant give and take between the inner and the outer. That's where the unbroken connection between you and your surroundings. For as long as you're alive and in human form. Maybe that's what Brian's saying. It's the constant give and take, that his breath is what connects him to the earth, is what makes him immovable, and what makes him, as far as his martial art is going to go, he's just unbeatable. The guy's just a brick house. But it'd be one thing to be a brick house if you could walk up to him and shove him, but you can't. He's rooted to the earth. And I wonder if you and I could be rooted to the earth a little more, if we could put our heart's highest priority, top of our list, right? Our primal scream, our inner wit and wisdom of our whisper, that constant give and take between the inner and the outer. Does the breathing remind us that we're still in the game? Cometh the hour, cometh the man. And they go, oh, fight or flight. Well, we talk all the time. And I think this go back. Absolutely. That's a great point, Henry. Henry reminds us of the myth. Antaeus, remember, Hercules. What's he got? 12? Somebody help me here if you know the myth. He's got like 12 adventures or challenges or whatever. And at number 11 is he has to fight Antaeus. Well, this guy, as wrestlers go, never lost. It's like Brian Bouchard, never lost a match. Never lost a match. Then Hercules comes around and goes, wait a minute, I know what he's up to. He draws his energy from the earth. Henry and I were talking about this earlier this weekend. All this, just Google it now. Talk about the benefits of walking barefoot in the grass. You think your feet really care if there's blades of grass, or could it be that you're connected, as Lee says, that in and out, the give and take? On the myth of Antaeus, Hercules lifts him up off the ground, chokes him out. There you go. Competition over. And then he goes on, I think he goes on to whatever the 12th labor was. He goes on to be a success at that too. You're absolutely right, Henry. And maybe our lack of breathing, maybe our fear, maybe those things that keep us outside of this particular moment in all of time, maybe that keeps us ungrounded from the earth. When we fear whatever's coming, when we talk about the unknown. Or, on the flip side, you could say, cometh the hour, cometh the plan. No matter what happens, there's nothing for me to be afraid of. There's nothing for me to fear. No matter what happens, cometh the hour, cometh the plan. And maybe Lee's right. That it's that back and forth. It's that give and take between you and the moment at hand. That's the plan. That's another term from martial arts, or maybe even from law enforcement. You talk about weaponizing what's around you, right? If you're ever in a situation, you're ever in a brawl, something happens, you have to be able to weaponize anything within arm's reach in order to be able to defend yourself or to protect another. Well, what if having potential just this side of infinity? What if cometh the hour, cometh the plan is nothing more than realizing I'm going to weaponize, I'm going to utilize, I'm going to call into action all the ingredients that are around me in this particular moment in all of time to channel my potential, to take my potential and turn it into a probability. Brian says, breathing is letting me know I am alive. If I'm alive, I'm vibrant. That's why we are so panicked when suffocating. I think that's a good point, Brian. You can't catch your breath. You have a chance, give us a call, 833-462-3968. Don't forget, toll free, 833-GO-BE-U. We're talking this evening about cometh the hour, cometh the plan. And maybe one of the ways to do it, because you could just say, Brian, that's just crazy. I got to know I got to know what's going to unfold in the future. I got to know what's going to go down. But just for we talk all the time about a 20-minute victory. And this goes back, I started to say way back when I first ever, and this is maybe 5 years ago or more, 6, 7, the first time I was ever on David Ray Bowman's show, on his radio show. And we talked about the best acronym. Breathe in. Exhale your name. Right? So you breathe in, take a full breath. Breathe in. Exhale who you are. Scan your surroundings. And then take action. That's the function of using your lungs the way they were intended, right? You breathe in, full of breath as you can get. You exhale your name, because in that particular moment, you're just going, no, this is who I am. This is my heart's highest calling. I'm going to put it on the top of my list. This is who I am. You breathe in, you exhale your name. Then you scan your surroundings. You sift through everything that's going on. And then you take action. Now, the alternative to that is when people, you get these people, hot heads wrapped in thin skin, where they go, they don't even breathe, let alone exhale, let alone sift the situation at hand. They go, they're taking action is to be outraged, is to be offended, is to be wounded. Like words could wound you. And maybe that's the opposite of it. David says, I remember that. Yes, thank you, David. John says, we've been tuned to a frequency for robots. Return our set for humanity. The more we become tuned is to stay in tune. I absolutely agree, John. So if we're tuned, right, if we're called away, as I would put it, if we're called away from our all-natural being, let's not be tuned. Let's not go into the Stockholm Syndrome, as I said yesterday, where we fall in love with our cognitive captors. We fall in love with our critics. At least we begin to dovetail with what it is that they think. Or we could go, no, I'm going to bring my own bowl. What does that mean? I'm going to breathe in that particular moment and all the time. I'm going to breathe in. Now, we know that once you breathe in, your body goes, wait a minute, time out. Something's up here. She's taking a full breath. Come on. He's using his lungs, so it can't be all that fearful a situation, right? He's not, as Brian said about suffocating, he's not breathing shallow. You're breathing in. You're using your lungs the way they're intended, and then you exhale your name. Well, exhale your name simply means you have to have skin in the game. You got to know who you are, and maybe just as importantly, fate has to know who they're dealing with. Fate has to know what it's up against, that you're there to out-brutal the brutal. And then maybe sifting your surroundings, BES, the best breath, BES, you're sifting your surroundings. We know now that physiologically, if your eyes are busy darting back and forth, if you're looking around, again, another cue to your body, much the same as the breath, much the same as remembering who you are. If your eyes are busy moving around, you don't have tunnel vision, right? What is the thing they say that one of the functions of fear is if you think you're being attacked by a predator, your eyes lock on it like a laser, right? You lock right on it like a laser, and you're on it because you got to be able to see where the threat is coming from. Well, if you're busy sifting your situation, scanning your surroundings, that's another signal to the body that goes, wait a minute, what's this fight or flight thing all about? I just got this email, I got this text message that I'm supposed to be secreting all kinds of extra chemicals because we're fight and flight. But wait a minute, she's taken a deep breath. He's exhaled his name. He's looking around like there's not got a particular care in the world, right? And then the T in the best acronym is then you take action. Or maybe, as John would put it, then he says, I have the power. Then you exercise that power in that particular moment and all of time. That's taking your potential, utilizing everything that is, all the ingredients that are going on around you, utilizing all of those things to put your heart's highest priority top of the list. And then we take action. Now, one of the actions for me, as Henry says, that's the importance for living in the now. One of the things that I use in the BEST acronym, the breathe in, exhale, sift your situation, and the T, you could take action, or for me, sometimes the T becomes thankfulness, right? Because I'm going to breathe in, exhale, sift the situation, and then I'm just thankful to be in that position to even be sifting the situation. I'm thankful for being in the situation, for even remembering who I am. Believe me, following 3 brain surgeries in 6 months. Oh, but I do get this nice little bracelet. That amnesia, that's a big thing. If at any particular moment I go, hey, I can still remember who I am, it's a good day. Maybe you go, hey, I'm still here to breathe. I'm not taking a horizontal dirt nap. I'm still here in this particular moment in all of time, and I refuse. Henry and I were laughing over the weekend. I said, I realized one day that I wasn't sharpest knife in the drawer, so it was time to be the ice pick. So maybe that's the point. Maybe we look at fate and we go, you know what? Not going to happen. You gotta, look, you want the battle? Bring the brutal, because I'm going to out-brutal you. I'm not going to surrender. I'm not going to tuck my tail and run. I'm going to square my shoulders. I'm going to use the BEST acronym. Breathe in, exhale, sift my situation, then take action. And it's been my experience, just a thought, right? No, I don't want to, what is it, a personification. I don't want to humanize. You go, oh, now you think fate has a mind just like a human mind. All I'm simply saying is that in that particular situation where your potential is under threat, fate isn't ready for you to go, is that all you brought? Is that's your plan? Right, that right there is your plan, fate. That's how you plan on derailing me? As John says, I have the power. I don't think fate's ready, John, for people who say, I have the power. Bring it. Bring it, bring it, bring it. Brian says, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? You didn't know before the brain was found? You know what, Brian? I know what you're saying, but I also said the other day that if I ever run for political office, I'll be able to say as an advertisement, well, look, I've had a brain tumor. It's true. It's true. I have a shunt, right? For those that aren't familiar with it, I have that little garden hose sticking out of the top of my head. But I'll be able to say in my political campaigning, I'm up against a career politician, and yes, it's true. I've had a brain tumor, but at least we know I've been cut open. We know I have a brain. Yeah, that's going to be my pitch. Oh, I wish I could fit that on a bumper sticker. All right, don't forget 833-462-3968. I thank John for calling earlier. Anyone else want to jump on here in the closing? Oh, wow. Closing minutes? It's toll free 833-GO-BE-U. As Brian says, who are you kidding? Yeah, Brian and I go way back. I'll give you that much. Right? But I like the idea of going, no, okay. In this particular moment and all the time, I'm going to win. As John says, I have the power. Brian says, I'm going to be grounded to the earth. Lee says, it's going to be, I'm going to stand here and control the give and take in this particular moment and all the time. That's what's going to work. As Henry says, that's the importance of living in the now. Oh, and I want to mention this too. I might have inhaled. Yeah. What was the other one, Brian? It all depends on what the definition of is. I think that's how it was. I think that was. I think that was the same riff, wasn't it? In any event, when you stand, minus the amnesia, minus the trappings, as Henry said earlier, it all depends on how far and how deep it goes back. But when you stand and decide, I'm not going to buy into all that baggage. I'm not going to buy into the static quo. I'm not going to buy into the mashugana of the marketplace. I'm going to face down fate in this particular moment, and it's going to know that it should have picked another victim, because I will not cave. I will not tuck my tail and run. And the beauty of it is when people say, well, you know, when people ask, well, why do you do all natural being? It's because outside of that amnesia, so I say I'm your biggest fan, that I love riding shotgun, because I believe all of us have potential just this side of infinity. And I think we forget who we ultimately are. When I talk about homo ingenious, when I talk about your inner superhuman, I mean, I really don't mean it as a tagline. I really mean that particular moment where you exercise your full potential. We're talking earlier about human nature, and I'm not sure there is a human nature. I mean, I'm not sure there were a couple pterodactyls sitting around, you know, contemplating dinosaur nature. Just don't see how that worked. A couple grizzly bears going, well, it's grizzly bear nature. What are you going to do? I think there's potential to be who you ultimately are. And it begins when you realize, cometh the hour, cometh the plan. We don't have to fear the future. We don't have to worry about how it's going to unfold. The labyrinth of life, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, right? All cul-de-sacs, no dead ends. Maybe some blind alleys, I'll give you that. But that the labyrinth of life is where your potential is put to the test. And I think it begins when you, one, adopt the mantra of thank you, that sense of gratitude, and this concept, cometh the hour, cometh the plan. Now, let me see. Henry says, I tried to call in, but it didn't work. But I wanted to do was to thank you, Brian, and your family. Well, Henry, give it one more try if you get a chance. It was an absolute blast having you and Rita here for sure. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much, Henry. I super appreciate that. Brian says, breathe, be confident, and you'll be as mighty as your will. And if you don't get the preferred outcome, you know, I really got to figure out. I hate it when I go to read some of these things and these little icon things pop up. I like it, right? Because I can say what I say, but it blocks from me being able to see what's going on. But I think I get it. If it says, if you don't get the preferred outcome, you're just going to try again. It's going to be a loop where he goes back to breathing, being confident. And you'll be as mighty as you will. Thank you, Brian, very much for that. As John says, be a human being, not a human doing. You have the power. Absolutely agree. John? Janice, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. I think you're absolutely right, John. A human being, not a human getting. Not drawn by the baubles, not drawn by the trinkets, not drawn by the carrots at the end of the stick, but this particular moment in all of time. Greetings from Florida, and to you, Janice. Thank you very much for joining us. Henry says, I wish to thank all of the listeners for the warm welcome you have shown me. And then we'll just cut to the we'll cut through that. But you know what, Henry, I can share with them that he means it. When he talks about the biggest heartfelt smile, he gets a genuine rush out of helping people. And I know that that's going to be his plan at Transitions Radio. He's going to continue to want to do just that. So if you haven't gone over yet to check out Transitional Radio, and Henry put back up, or you just go to Henry G. Noel, Henry G. as in George Noel, Noel.com, and you'll have all of the different ways to get in touch with him there as well. That's about it for this evening. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We'll be back. Yeah, sure, we'll be back. I'll tell you, it throws me off, Henry, when we started on Sunday nights. You know, I'm working for the weekend, right? So I'm thinking, oh, yeah, today's Friday. Nah, not even close. We'll be back tomorrow night. But in the interim, let me say hello to Hugh. Hugh, thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. But in the interim, remember that cometh the hour, cometh the plan. And that there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be concerned with. There's nothing to be worried about when you know that in any particular moment in time, it's your opportunity, your calling to channel your potential to face whatever it is that fate throws at you. And maybe, I'll leave you with this thought, maybe what we can do is for your 20-minute victory, 1/72 of your day, what if you say, I'm only going to try it. For the next 20 minutes, cometh the hour, cometh the plan. And my mantra is going to be one of gratitude. My mantra is going to be one of thankfulness. And for those minions that do the work of fate, for those thinking that they're going to out-brutal you, for those thinking that they're going to derail you, you let them know you are not going to be victimized. And you have picked the wrong person to get into battle with. I wish that for you. Don't forget, until tomorrow night. Yeah, I could have centered that a little better too, I think. All right, everybody, we're out of here. Thank you so very much for joining us at All Natural Being. And again, to Henry Noel, thank you so very much. To John, thank you so very much. As John says, and we'll leave on this thought, something wonderful is happening, and I think you, that's right, you, let me make sure, I think you are that something special. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Have an absolutely fantastic evening.
IPMNation.com.